Tribal leaders in Maine who have long sparred with state leaders over the issue of sovereignty for Native American tribes addressed the Maine Legislature today, calling for greater autonomy. The tribes hope to alter the Maine Indian Land Claims Settlement Act of 1980, which treats reservations like municipalities that are subject to state law. Kadichi Lawrence reports from Augusta.
For the first time in 2 decades, leaders of the 5 Wabanaki tribes in Maine addressed a joint convention of the Maine Legislature.
I mean, it's a historic day not only for us, but for the state of Maine.
Clarissa Sabatis, chief of the Holton Band of Maliset, says the tribes and the state have come a long way.
We really are just here to work together. We know that we have a shared space, and it's our hope that we can continue to work on both sides of the aisle to really make some meaningful changes for all of us.
Still, she says there are some challenges to work through, which includes the passage of tribal sovereignty, a proposal that was tabled last year when Governor Mills threatened to veto it.
Making changes so that we can just go ahead and have our court be able to exercise its full jurisdiction without asking for permission or creating MOUs or having laws passed.
Tribal Representative Aaron Dana says limited sovereignty is not sovereignty. He says they're looking to the legislature to change that.
We've done treaties and we've had the Maine Indian Land Claims Settlement Act in place before, and these give us our sovereignty rights and state that we have sovereignty rights. Now we just need to have the people understand that we're in that position where we can self-govern ourselves now. We no longer need somebody to take care of us.
He says granting the tribes more autonomy will not just benefit them, but also the state as a whole.
Definitely have a boost in employment. We would have a boost in medical care. We would have not just for us, but in the surrounding communities as well.
For Chief Sabatis, she says she walks away with hope.
We can't continue to accept the things that we can't change. As tribal and non-tribal leaders, we have to change the things that we can no longer accept.
Kodichi Lawrence, WABI TV 5 News, Augusta.